Yeah. So hi, my name is Rolf Brink. Well, there's still a lot of people coming in. I guess there's quite a few hangovers from last night, from several drinks events. Suits the topic, liquid cooling, right? So we all know how that works. Just going to do a quick introduction. Besides being a project lead within Open Compute, I also make a living. And that's something I do with Promersion. With Promersion, I'm doing a lot of work when it comes to industry analysis, when it comes to supporting major stakeholders in the market with their strategic engagement with this entire liquid cooling ecosystem. That gives me a fairly unique view on the entire market, on the industry, and what's happening in the industry, how this industry is shaping. So over the past 2 years, I've presented some insights in terms of how is this market evolving, what is the value of this market, and how is that progressing, what is the market growth, right? And there's a couple of very interesting things that have happened over the past year. And even though this is the immersion track, I'm going to start talking about cold plate. Because cold plate is really very exciting. Over the past year, cold plate has taken off. We finally live in the era that we've been talking about for the last 20 odd years. That's called liquid cooling. And the reason why cold plate has taken off is not so much the normal organic growth that we've seen over the years, which was already sustainable, but because overnight we got a requirement for cold plate cooling technology for the newest chips. If you want to use the newest CPU or GPU, you suddenly need to work with cold plate. And that has given us an incredible increase in market uptake for cold plate. I want to make this disclaimer though, this is still preliminary work, and some of these things are still subject to change. But in terms of the trend, cold plate is massive. It's difficult to buy a high performance system without a cold plate. So what does that mean for immersion? Immersion cooling is still undergoing organic growth. But as I explained last year as well, immersion is a few years behind on cold plate. Why? It's more disruptive. It's a little more complicated. It's something that can still be postponed a bit. If we're looking at cold plate technology, up to a year ago, the industry was trying to hold off anything new until they had no other choice. Right now, it's something that is being forced. Immersion is not yet forced. Right now, if you have a cold plate system, you can still operate things in air fine. So why change? Right? That's a natural hesitance. If you have views on why you shouldn't be using immersion, that is something that we're really eager to learn from you tomorrow morning as well in the starting roundtable session. Now, immersion is still growing because there is a need. There's a lot of advantages when it comes to immersion, when it comes to sustainability, efficiency, you name it. So at some point in time, immersion will likely also be forced in the market. Now the real question is, when and why? Now this is something I've been working on over the past year as well. And it really comes down to some very basics. You're all familiar with the plotted graphs for CPUs and GPUs over the years, right? How they have increased their thermal footprint and how that has posed us with a huge challenge when it comes to chip cooling. And this is where cold plate has come in to solve some of these thermal challenges. You can see that the CPUs and GPUs have reached that point where, hey, cold plate cooling really makes sense. Now, cold plate cooling is a fantastic technology. It's great at delivering that pinpoint precision cooling right on top of your chip. But that's not the entire problem. The server, that system, the platform consists of a lot more than a CPU or a GPU. It consists of memory. It consists of power supplies. It consists of networking. You've got storage. You've got all sorts of power conversion that is happening on the board. Now, what happens when you double the capacity of a CPU or a GPU? You're going to have to double the amount of IOs that are going to your storage. You're going to have to double the network capacity. You have to double everything because you're processing twice as much. So you need to be able to feed the system twice as much, and you need to get twice as many results out of that system. Right? So all those things that need to scale alongside a CPU and GPU, they're becoming bigger and bigger as well when it comes to the power usage and therefore the thermal impact. So what you see here in this graph is that I've plotted a new red line into this graph, and that red line indicates the platform power. So consider that to be the system power minus the XPUs. And XPUs replace that for CPU, GPU, or whatever processing unit you'd like. And if by plotting that curve, you see that the entire system platform is following a very similar trend as the CPUs and GPUs. This is where immersion comes in. The stronger point for immersion cooling is that it's able to cool everything that is on the board. And so just the mass flow type immersion cooling is maybe not optimized for that precision cooling. That's where cold plate is really effective. But when it comes to the overall platform cooling, that's where immersion becomes necessary. So now get on to the next question then. With that curve, what is that tip over point where air can no longer do the job? And that's really the prize question here. I don't know for certain, but I'm currently projecting that to be around the 1.2 kilowatt mark, where you need to have the heat sinks that become so big on the memory modules, on the storage systems, on the network cards, that it prevents you from properly populating a chassis, where the challenges become so big for air cooling that all the stuff that you have to keep enlarging is gonna make that system just or either too impractical to use, or it consumes too much power to cool with air. When does it happen? Well, just follow the curve line. Likely somewhere about 2028, around that period in time, is where we may expect a similar event as what we've seen over the past year with the advent of cold plate. It gives us 4 years. Does it mean that we're going to have to cool all the systems with immersion cooling? No. Because immersion is not for everything. Just like cold plate is not for everything. There's plenty of stuff out there, even here on the exhibition floor, where everything is focused on high density equipment. Plenty of stuff that is not needing liquid cooling at all. Is it going to replace cold plate cooling? No, not either. Well, it's not going to replace cold plate. Well, is cold plate winning from immersion? No, because it's not about winning or losing. The point is, and this is something that I touched upon last year, so it's basically a bit of a repetition from last year's keynote that I did here. About 10 years ago, we had a pretty homogeneous IT equipment landscape. That server, that piece of kit that you were using to host a web server was pretty much the identical equipment that was being used in high-performance computing tasks. Same hardware, same equipment, about the same power draw. There was not much diversification in the IT hardware. Of course, there's some, but compared to today, it was pretty much identical. Right now, we have a hugely diversified ecosystem of IT kit, and all dealing with different thermal problems, thermal challenges. Now, take that AI box that is equipped with the highest spec NVIDIA GPUs, and compare that with that web server that is just hosting some websites. You cannot apply the same cooling technology to both servers. You cannot say, well, I need a heavy-duty liquid cooling system for one, and I'm going to apply that to that web server that is perfectly happy sitting in air, that is not consuming a whole lot of power, that is still doing that low power footprint. So What we're seeing is a very diversified ecosystem of IT platforms. Now, have a look at the cooling industry, at all this liquid cooling infrastructure. We have all these different technologies that apply to different types of compute, different types of platform. We've got door heat exchangers, we've got cold plates, we've got immersion, and we're also going to be looking at hybrids. Now, these are all relevant at different parts, different stages of that area, but they're not going to be replacing each other. They're going to be expanding on each other. They're going to be enlarging each other's footprint. So where does this all lead me? It leads me to this. So remember that graph plotting out that thermal footprint of the platform? This is a forecast that I've made for what does the IT equipment supply ecosystem look like by 2030. So let's assume that we're already beyond that adoption, or beyond that inflection point, right? 2030, that steep uptake in immersion has already happened. What does that ecosystem look like? About 45% of all the IT equipment that will be sold in 2030 is just going to be air-cooled. Air cooling is not disappearing. It's not going away, folks. Air cooling will always be there. Probably perpetually, somewhere between 30 and 40%, even way beyond this horizon. Maybe it's going to be a bit more. Who knows? Right? This is just a forecast. I'm projecting that about 55% of all IT equipment that will be sold in 2030 will be implemented with direct liquid cooling. And direct liquid cooling includes cold plate and immersion. Does that mean that in 2030, all the IT equipment that is hosted in all data centers worldwide will be liquid cooled? No, just the equipment that is supplied in 2030. Right? So there's not then the installed base, it's just the new equipment. What you can notice here is that I'm projecting an overlap between cold plate and immersion. What does that mean? Well, about 45% of all the equipment will likely be pre-equipped with cold plates. Does it mean that you won't need immersion anymore? Actually, no, it does not mean that. Remember what I just told you, the platform challenges become bigger. So what I'm projecting, what I'm anticipating is that we're going to see a lot of cold plate technology inside immersion. Already seeing the first steps of that here on the exhibition floor. About a year ago, we kicked off a campaign around breaking the ceiling, right? Where the premise was, hey, immersion can only reach about 450 watts per CPU in terms of cooling. We started off that campaign about a year ago to prove to the industry that immersion is only just getting started. I think what we can see here on the exhibition floor with some of the demos, we're now showing the beginning of a roadmap that has a runway for the next 15, 20 years. Right? The way that immersion now can evolve forward. And part of that journey is going to be the integration of cold plates. So a lot of the systems by that time will require both cold plates and immersion cooling. Now, I already mentioned 2028. If that's true, obviously I believe that there's a lot of work in it. I stand by this projection, right? And it happens, it gives us 4 years. 4 years to get to a situation where the organic growth of immersion cooling, which is going fairly slowly, suddenly becomes a necessity. What is needed for an industry that can scale to that level? We're going to need a lot more than what we have today. There's no standards for immersion. There's no standards for where that pipe fitting should be or how to deal with power. No standards on the shape or size of an immersion tank. No standards on how to deal with an chassis-based immersion environment. No maintenance standards. No standards on how to deal with the fluids or even with the life cycle. None of that. There is no such thing as a standard for immersion cooling yet. there is a lot of work in creating these standards. There are no server designs that are properly designed for immersion that really reap the benefits of immersion technology yet. That is something that we're going to have to focus on. Supply chains, look, nothing is more difficult to scale than manufacturing. Right? There's a reason why a lot of investors like putting the money in apps. Because, hey, if it works out, you can scale out overnight to be a global, to have global coverage. With hardware manufacturing, that's not the case. So for an ecosystem like this, you need a lot of time and a lot of organic growth to facilitate high-scale production, large-scale production. But with the type of adoption curve that we're looking at, gradual, slow growth, and a sudden peak at a very specific point in time, just like we're seeing with cold plate, we have seen with cold plate over the past year, that's going to be challenging. So we as a community, as the industry, need to get ready for that. And that's where we're getting into the Immersion Project. So so far, the Promersion part, and now I'm fully a project lead again. And the cool thing is, we have an excellent community to tackle these issues. Mind you, we only have 4 years. 4 years is not a lot when it comes to the amount of work that we need to put in to get this industry ready. But we have the right people to work with, right? I've analyzed the demographics of our community, and I was actually very surprised with the outcome of that. We have a huge diversity in our community. We've got 16 work streams that we currently have in incubation or active stages. We have 35 active volunteer leaders that were just signed up over the past couple of weeks. So, and I'm going to be introducing all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Because, and credits to all these volunteers that are standing up to help out with this movement. We have 466 mailing list subscribers. We have nearly 400 direct invitees to a whole lot of other of the work streams. Don't add them up, because average it out, we've got more than 600 members in the community. We got 350 members on LinkedIn. Take out your phones, please become a member of the LinkedIn community that we're managing. We'd love to get your participation in that, and there's going to be a lot more QR codes, so please keep your phones out and make sure to scan whatever QR codes are coming up to join us. But we have a very nice spread of industry participants in our community. So we have all the ingredients, all the type of work, all the type of expertise that we need to make to get the industry ready. But like I said, there's a lot to do. We're going to require things like open specifications. We're going to need to facilitate industry standards. One of the big topics that we're going to need to address is interoperability. So, all right, cool. We have, let's say, when looking at this ecosystem, all that diversified equipment, fantastic. But you know what? They all have different shapes and sizes. They may need to operate with different parameters. How am I going to ensure that they can all work together, that I can facilitate them all in the same data hall? That's a big challenge. That's a big question. It's a big ask. That's something that we're going to need to respond to. For that, we also have one of the roundtables, interoperability, tomorrow at 11 a.m., I believe, where we would love to get all your inputs as well to help with shaping these on interoperability questions and provide us with input and feedback. What do we need to look at? That session in particular is going to be a really fun one. And I would really love to see all of you to be part of that. And of course, we're going to have to look at the IT equipment and optimizing design. So, some of you may remember that last year, after the Global Summit, we took a little initiative. We engaged with community. We started working with some Miro boards, digital environments, digital canvas where you can work with digital post-its to collect insights from the community. What do you want? What do you feel that you're going to need from the immersion project? And there was a reason for that, because we already recognized, hey, we're going to need to be ready for Schill. We've collected all that input, and a lot of you have provided input. We've got thousands and thousands of input data points that have been provided into the project that we have worked with, and we have come up with a completely new design for the way that we operate in open compute. And this is new, very disruptive. So in the immersion project, we have established technical committees. We have 4 of them. We have a fluids committee, we have a solutions committee, we have an IT equipment committee, and we have a reliability committee. Now we'll be introducing all the leads in a couple minutes. We've also established some support teams. So the technical committees are now responsible for all the topical, for all the materials that relate to the technical committee's domain, right? So if something happens with fluids, we need to work on something with fluids, that's governed over by the fluids committee. Right? If it relates to IT equipment, same thing for IT equipment and so forth. But we've done something more. We've also created a support infrastructure for all the projects and all the work streams that we have. That means that because we are going to be focusing so much on standardizations, OCP is not a standardization body, but there's others out there that are. So we've established an industry liaison team that will help, that is dedicated to harmonizing our efforts with other industry bodies. There's an OCP projects liaison team, which is focused on making sure that everything that happens in the immersion project can be harmonized with other OCP projects, with the server community, with the data center community. Anyway, there's a lot of projects in OCP that will touch upon liquid cooling, and this is where the OCP project liaisons come in. We have a community outreach team, and you're going to be hearing from all of these folks in the next 5 minutes before we move over to the bazaar. We have a community enablement council that will start helping out with some of the engagements within the community, and we have a challenges council. Challenges council, you say, why that? We want to know every reason why you don't want immersion. Why? Because that helps us focus on which areas to improve, what areas that we need to tackle, what we need to do to help shape this industry for the next stages. So the technical committees I just touched upon, and the real work is still being done in work streams, and that will remain the case. And this is the full width of the current workstream ecosystem that we either already have or about to kick off. A lot of these workstreams are brand new. They're still in the description phase. We got volunteer leads allocated to most, if not all of them, that will be working with the whole community to get these workstreams shaped up. And every workstream is part of one of the technical committees. So the workstream leads are part of the technical committee for their respective work. But not just that, they're also part of adjacent committees as well. So let's say advanced cooling techniques as an example. That is part of the ITE committee. ITE committee has oversight over that workstream. But because they're also dealing with immersion solutions, they're also part of that community. Right, so we're building these smaller communities within the project itself to help facilitate harmonization and make sure that there's enough cross-pollination. One of the biggest challenges with working with a really big community is making sure that everybody stays on the same page, right? So that's the huge challenge. And with the Challenges Council, we are dealing with, we're trying to harmonize all those inputs and distribute the challenges that have been identified across all the technical committees. So the technical committees need to have the responsibility to kick off new work streams, to find ways of addressing some of the challenges that we're finding, And that's all being, again, being discussed and harmonized in our project steering committee. So the project steering committee consists of John Bean, myself as the project leads, but also all the committee chairs and all the support team leads. And we all have equal votes. There is no kingdom in here. It's all collaborative efforts and joint strategies. So I'd like to introduce you first to the community outreach folks. Allison, and I'd like to give you a minute together with Rachel. Rachel, if you're not speaking, but maybe you want to stand up so that people know who you are.
Yeah.
There you are.
Thank you. I think I have a mic on, right?
Oh, you got a mic on. All right, cool.
So
I'll take it back then.
And where's the little buzzer? You're going to go.
It's,
Thanks so much
yeah.
to, do I just press the button? Heck if I know what I'm doing here. Well, so glad to be here and so proud to be the community outreach host of the immersion community. I consider myself the immersion room mom, right? So anyway, we're really, I get the fun job, I get the fun position. He didn't want me to call it a job, but I get the fun stuff, and I love that. Rachel, thank you so much. We just nominated Rachel as the co-lead, so I love that. And we are looking for other participants for community outreach. So if you'd like to be a volunteer, please catch one of us and help support. Really, our job is just to enhance the visibility by leveraging marketing, public relations, and community outreach. So we want to promote immersion cooling and make it widely accepted and verified as an industry standard. And I remember, getting into the industry in like 2017, and there was a little small, when I got involved, we were calling ourselves the immersion crazies, right? I'm not joking, that's actually what we called ourselves. We're not so crazy anymore, are we guys, right? So get involved and get support. We really are so proud for all this so far into this, the community participation for our liquid bar event tomorrow night. So we'd love for you to continue on, doing that. We're also going to be kicking off what we're calling the Get Immersed. Hold on, so we're branding, so Get Immersed, right? So the Get Immersed Champions of Change. So if you get an email from me that says, hey, we want to do a little quick profile of you, literally, like we're talking like a 2-minute interview, talk to me about what you're doing. Why did you join OCP? Why are you participating? What do you do in your free time? You like to fish, you like to cook. We just want us all to get to know each other a little bit better. There were hours and hours of people putting in the time for these volunteers, and so join the LinkedIn group as well if you haven't, and feel free to post in there. We don't want it to be like a one-woman or one-man show, right? We want to go ahead and get that done. The liquid bar, look at that list of supporters for tonight. I mean, let's just give them all a hand right now. So it really is important for us to show up. So come have a cocktail with us. We've got a fun thing where all the companies got to call their cocktail. I'll give you, like Rolf says, on the brink. I know. So, yeah. So next on the agenda, of course, Supercompute. We're going to have a dinner on Tuesday night. If you'd like to help support that, reach out to me as well. And then, who's excited about Ireland? Me. What in the world? So anyway, that's it. I think did I do 4 minutes? Am I good? All right. He's kicking me off the stage. So.
Yeah, so I'd like to continue also to the OCP project liaison. Michael Schill is currently helping us with covering this. Michael Schill is the community director at OCP, but he's also helping us out in the immersion project. I mean, how cool is that? Right.
Thanks, Rolf. Rolf is,
oh, the mic is not well done. Is it switched off?
Are we good? Hello? I can be pretty loud.
Oh, it needs to be in the recording, my friend.
There we go, thanks. Are you guys hearing me okay now?
Is it switched on?
Is it on?
Ah, it's off.
Rolf turned it off. Yeah, as Rolf mentioned, I'm currently serving in the role of OCP Projects Liaison. Serving is a little bit of a misnomer. I think this is the only workstream position that's not currently being led and led very well by a volunteer. I do work for the OCP Foundation alongside my colleague Bijan Narouzi, OCP CTO. We've been placed in this position as a bit of a stopgap, an interim, hosting while we wait for a volunteer to come forth from the community. So that is my ask to you all today, and I'll try and be very brief because I know we're a little bit over time already here. But That's the ask I'm going to make. You know, if you're someone that is involved in immersion at OCP, but you're also involved in other projects, this is the spot for you. Description of the role is really just be a connector. Make connections, facilitate conversations between the immersion project and other groups. The role is also, you know, needs to go to someone who is a fixer, someone who can smooth things over between other organizations, between other, you know, viewpoints and competing minds. So again, if that is something that you think you have a talent for, please reach out to Rolf. Please reach out to me. This is my report card. We're not doing very well in this role. I'm going to be very upfront and honest and transparent with you guys there. We are desperately in need of someone with your talents to come forward, someone with your talents to join this incredible team of 35. Is that how many leads you have now? 35. That's crazy. Let's make it 36. Please do get in touch. We're hoping to have someone installed in the next 90 days, I believe, up and running, so that next year you don't have to hear from me again. You can hear from a wonderful volunteer. Rolf, I'll pass it over. I think maybe we saved a minute there.
Awesome. So let's move over to the next contributor. That's on the industry liaison side. So for this, we have Kelley, Mullick, and Maria Mohagegi. All right, awesome. And Mayam is going to speak to this. Kelley is sadly stuck in something else at this point in time, but hey, we have you. Awesome. Here you go.
Hi everyone, so my name is Maria Mohagegi and I'm the co-chair of Industry Liaison Team and Kelley Mullick is the chair of this team. So in terms of the purpose of the team, the Industry Liaison Team is focused on accelerating the adoption of the liquid cooling with working closely with industry standard bodies, and in order for that one, we have this team. So so we are working closely with industry bodies such as ASHRAE, UL, and ASTM, as well as government bodies. And also we are facilitating a two-way communication channel in order to make sure that the information flows effectively between the work group and between the work group and these standard bodies. So about the 90-day plan, so we are currently establishing a regular schedule for monthly call, and it's still in progress. And in terms of the core team, so we identified representatives from standard bodies, and we put together the team, and it's complete. We have a great and incredible team right now, and also for the next step for the team. So we are identifying and highlighting the immediate areas of focus for the team. For the rest of the year, and we will work on that in 2025. So we are open to the new members. If you are interested, please reach out and reach out to Kelley Mullick or myself. You can find myself at booth C16. And thank you, and we look forward to driving forward these great initiatives.
Thank you very much. Right, so last but not least, community enablement. This is where we have Rich and Gemma. Gemma, would you mind speaking to this for a second? And Rich, we're going to be seeing a lot of Rich in a few minutes. He's standing over there. He's now assembling the stuff that we're going to need in 2 minutes. But here you go, Gemma. Please enlighten us with your presence.
That's a bit of a big opening, isn't it, really? I'm not really sure where to go with that. So my name is Gemma Reeves. I'm from Alpha Laval, and I'm part of the newly initiated community enablement team. We've got so many work streams and groups going on now that we thought it was really important to really make sure that you guys were getting out of this what you needed and that you were finding it useful and engaging as much as you can. So this really is what myself and Rich will be doing. We'll be talking to you, we'll be finding out what's working for you, what isn't working for you, getting feedback to make sure that these groups are useful, engaging, and that you are happy to engage and join in with these types of things. So you will hear from us. You might see us at events, we might come and talk to you, we might send out a few polls. We'll see how that looks moving forward, but we want to make it approachable as a group, as a team. We want you guys to feel happy communicating, coordinating, talking, and giving your feedback into this to make it the most productive group that we can have moving forward. And I'm not going to read through all the words on the slide, because I don't believe in doing that, because you're all more than capable of reading, even if it is early in the morning and you've not had coffee yet. But what you've got there is what we're going to be doing, what you're going to see us doing, so look out for us soon.